of his favorite quotes of all time is, "I'd rather die of thirst than drink from the cup of mediocrity." He's been married to a superhero wife, Dr. Cindy, for 14 years and is the father to 5 amazing kids. He's been a chiropractor and wellness advocate for over 14 years, but he's been an educator his entire life. His greatest passion is seeing people understand and achieve their true potential in every area of their life. Give it up for Dr. Jim Bob. Woo! Yeah, come on, come on. Woo! Woo-woo! Woo-woo! Yeah!
Hey. All right, let me get situated here. I got more contraptions than I used to, so it takes me a little bit to get positioned correctly. Man, it is good to be back in Florida, and this is a way better trip than the last time when I was in Florida. I have not been in Florida since March of last year when I shattered my femur. So for those of you who were there at that conference, sorry about that. They're all like, man, we were there to see you. At convention, I got that a lot. We were there at Infuse, and you weren't there. I'm like, it's true. I was in the back of a Suburban headed back to Texas for knee reconstruction. I'll tell you that story here in just a second. But so I'm super pumped to be here. Following up with Sarah is a hard bit. I'm like, can you put me before her? Like, come on. Like, the pressure. Following her. She's amazing. Oh, you got it. She's incredible. And, a little story about Sarah. I met Sarah the first time Cindy and I did on a leadership cruise in Greece. We were in the Mediterranean leadership cruise, which if you ever have the chance to go on a leadership cruise, which you all will, you should. Like when you see the little leadership thing come up online, pay attention to your emails, and they're like, leadership cruise stats, work your tail off to get to that. Because it's incredible, and there's spots for every single rank. It's not like, oh, get to Diamond, go to Greece. It's, every single rank gets to go, and you should do it. Because we're on this cruise ship in Greece and seeing amazing stuff and meeting all these amazing people. And this bubbly blonde bounces up to us on the cruise with all of her kids in tow. And we were like, and I think at the time you were a silver, right? Yeah, she was a silver at the time. And she's like, hey, I'm Sarah Hardage. These are all my kids. He does video. He does this. He does my stats. He cleans my room. And she told us about all her kids. I think we were actually on the gondola in Croatia. Is exactly where it was. And we were like laughing. We were like, dude, she is really excited. That was my first thought. I was like, dude, this chick is excited. And I'm like, that's awesome. And she, throughout that week, we got to be friends with her and her kids. We got to know their story. And she has one of the most amazing testimonies in our entire company, I think. And not too long after that, as she started building and was growing and having amazing success, she's like, I think I want to write a book. What do y'all think? We're like, yes, do the thing. And then now she's changed the face of the business of our company forever, which is awesome. So give her a huge round of applause. She is awesome. The thing that you'll always have to remember about Sarah is that if she says she's going to do something, she's going to do it twice. And she's going to do it quickly. So super thankful for her. And because she's amazing, and this is how the Young Living family is, this morning she texted me and she's like, dude, do you need anything? You need me to go get you anything? You need me to go do this? Like, she's the famous, awesome author traveling around the country, but she's like, I will go run and grab you something. You need water, because she's awesome. So I appreciate you. And I appreciate getting to come. I have the pleasure of traveling and speaking on essential oils and how they function in the body and how your body was created to function and the ways that the oils can help it do its job better all the time. And the thing that I love most is watching your eyes go poof when you understand that your body was created for perfect. And that you understand that your body was created for more than what you're getting out of it right now. Most of the people that I meet, the thing that I realize is that they don't think they're worth feeling better on one level. Like they just really think that where they're at is where they're at. Like you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. You know what I mean? Like they think that about their health. Or they just don't feel like there's any other option. They're like, well, this is what I've done forever. Like Sarah. Like the thing about her testimony that I love is she's like, hey, I had this stuff for 16, 17 years, but she never stopped believing that there was something that was going to help her body do what it's supposed to, because she knew that that wasn't normal. Okay. Right? Like, there's a difference in common and normal. Like symptoms are normal when the body's not being perfect, but things with names, all the itises, isms, and symptoms, those aren't normal. but they're very common. That makes sense? But because they're so common, we get to where we think that they're normal. And we like own them like it's our little thing. Like it's our whoopee. Like, oh, I'm a diabetic. No, you're not. You're Susie that has blood sugar issues. You understand? I'm an arthritic. No, you're Dan that has inflammation problems and your gut that's completely jacked up. Which if you couldn't see the translation of the dudes in the video, like the weird accent guys, like when he was like, the whole thing, it basically meant they were jacked and now they'd be awesome. That's all that was what it was. So I helped all of my peeps back here in the back. They didn't understand it because I know I got you. Like they couldn't see the translation, but you know, I speak all that, so it's good. No. Just so much worth out of this so far. It's awesome. All right, disclaimer, blah, blah, blah. Go do your own homework. That's basically every disclaimer from everybody that you ever hear. Because the thing that you got to know is like you got to know this for yourself. Like you have to own this and you've got to go look it up. It doesn't mean that you have to understand the difference in a sesquiterpene and a monoterpene. That's not for everybody and you don't need to know that. Some of you need to know that because it's how your brain works. Most of you could care less. And 95% of the people that you're going to meet on the street could care less. They don't care about that. They care about whether or not the company and the product is going to touch them in one of three areas, the wellness, purpose, or abundance in their life, which is Young Living's whole mission, right? But the thing I love about teaching with Sarah is we both get to talk about wellness and function, and then she gets to come in and talk a ton about abundance and gets to talk about how to get to that, because I think that we get tied in so much on the wellness side that we forget that some people, they would love to be healthier, but they can't even focus on their health because they're so far in debt. Or the reason that their wellness is in the toilet is because they're 100,000, 200,000, or like a doctor friend of mine I sat down with the other day and talked to, over $500,000 in debt, and they don't see any way out. And they're having all of these neurological and physical symptoms because of it. And so you come along and you're like, I would love to talk to you about lavender. Do you know what this could do for your health? They're like, I don't care. I can't pay my rent. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so learning to really hear people. Like the thing that I pray for you guys this weekend is that you understand like Ephesians 3:20 is true. Like that, you know, that verse says, to him who is able to do exceedingly and abundantly more than you could ever hope or imagine. Like this system in your body, the way it was created, could do more than you could ever imagine. Like it could function better than you could ever imagine if you give it the things that it needs and you don't give it stuff that it doesn't, right? And that's the way the bodies work. Take out the junk, put in the good, and it will work the way that it's designed to, right? And we're going to talk through that part of it. But I also, the other part that I want you to get is I want you to be able to have the ability and learn how to see people and hear them well. Like I think we talk to people well. I don't think we see them. I don't think we hear them. You know what I mean? Like we tell them what we want to tell them because it's what we like read in this script book or we learned on this one video, but then we don't really hear them. Like we don't really like see them. And so we miss that connection and everything. We miss the opportunity to really change their lives with the products and with the opportunity. So like Christy said, and give Christy a round of applause. She is awesome and she's done a great job. She is like ultra organized, which I'm all about organization. I love it, but I've got 5 kids, so you know that kind of goes out the window. And she's like, "Boom, here's your reservation for this. Boom, here's this. Boom, you're gonna be." I'm like, "Awesome, love you." So great. So yes, I am basically just a blessed dude that knows how your kidneys work and likes to talk a lot on mic. That's it. And I have an amazing family. And so my wife, Dr. Cindy, and I have been married for almost, this will be 15 years. This April. She's incredible. We're moving, in the process of moving right now, and so I get back and moving trucks show up to the house, and so she is finishing up all that stuff. I'll tell you a little bit about our stories we got into Young Living. These are my 2 oldest. This is Harper Joe on my left, on your left at least. He is now 9. He thinks he's 19. And he thinks he knows everything. He literally said the other night, we were at dinner, and Cindy put this on Facebook. Some of you probably saw this. We live our life pretty transparent online. We were sitting there at one of our favorite Thai food restaurants, and he goes, "You know, Mom," he said, "it's crazy. I mean, I'm just always right." And Cindy, he's on that end of the table, I'm on this end, and she busts out laughing, and then she looks at me and she goes, "You." And I go, "What?" Well, I used to always tell her, like, when we argued, I had this problem with, like, this righteous problem of, like, needing things to be right, like, for a long time. And so if things weren't right, like if she came in and she said, yeah, you know that blue shirt you wore to Florida, I said, no, it's purple. Like I would just like correct things. So we always had this joke, and I would always tell her for years, I'm like, I try to be wrong sometimes, it just never happens. And I said that. So now my 9-year-old, he's like, gosh, Mom, I'm just always right. I'm like, oh no. So, you always pay for your raising for sure, and we're definitely in that season. That is Ellie Belly on my right. If you ever wondered what I was like as a 7-year-old blonde little girl, that's her. And she's amazing and awesome and sings and dances and, all the things that she should, because she's incredible. She is my heart walking around outside my chest. She's into gymnastics and The Greatest Showman. Who's seen the movie? If you haven't seen the movie, it's almost out of theaters. You got to see it on the big screen. It is incredible, right? It's incredible. So she literally sings that soundtrack 24 hours a day. And so, if you would like for me to get her to sing that for you, for sure, she'll do it. She loves it. So those are our two oldest, 9, 7. Their brother Evans would have been 3.5. He was born June 14th, 2014. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple hours after birth. And so we only got him for a short time. And then later on, we had gone through a miscarriage, and then the next year, in 2015, we found out we were pregnant. We had come to Florida. Florida's our happy place, all except for last March. Florida's our happy place, except for that, and Orlando. I'm trying not to hate on Orlando, but I'm like, that was the place, So we come back from Florida, found out that we were about 8 to 10 weeks pregnant, and we were in the process of adopting, and so we found out we were pregnant with this guy. This is Witten. He will be 2 at the end of this next month, actually, February 27th. And we got a letter to adopt this guy. This is Tate. Literally, we get home from Florida on a Sunday night. We had one day, we kind of got reacclimated on a Monday. We get an email Tuesday morning, and this local crisis pregnancy center was like, hey, we know you guys are looking at adopting internationally, but would you be interested in a local baby? We're like, yes. Like, yes, all the yes. And so that was Tuesday. His mom went into labor the next day on Wednesday, had him by Thursday morning, signed papers on Saturday in the hospital room with her, and we're there to birth the whole thing. So, you never know where the Lord is leading you and taking you and what he's setting up for you. And we didn't know that back when we first were exposed to the product. Here's one thing that you really need to hear. You never know, even if the person doesn't take your recommendation, that your recommendation now going, dude, you should really try the product, might change their life or save their life a decade down the road.
Yeah, amen.
You have no idea. Because a patient of ours was bold enough, like we've been in practice for 14 years, like Christy was saying, and we do a lot of nutrition. I don't lack for confidence, so the patients, we just do all these nutritional protocols. Well, one of the patients came in and she's like, hey, you talk about neurological balancing and using essential oils, but you also didn't tell us where to get it. I was like, it doesn't really matter. We're just using it because I was using it for stimulation of nerve pathways, not for the frequency and the function. And she goes, well, it does really matter. She goes, there's better oils out there. And so she brought us Young Living. So we signed up with her 11 years ago, right? But Sarah talks about opening the bottles. Hey, open your kit. We bought the premium starter kit. Back then it was 8 oils. You got a certificate for the diffuser. You didn't get the whole thing in, right? Remember this? And so we got the kit in, and we used and ordered the Thieves Household Cleaner to use in our offices and on our equipment for 6.5 years and never opened our premium starter kit. 6.5 years, right? Sarah's back there slapping herself in the face. I know. If you were up here, I'd slap you too. It's crazy. So, biggest business tip ever, 2 business tips. This is all you need to do. Tell them about the oils and call them back. Ask them again. And when they get it, ask them again. Just following up with your people is so huge. So 6.5 years later, we actually had a need. And we had run out of all the tools in our toolbox and all of our tricks and all of our things. And so we got to this point where we were desperate. Like most of you, when you first were exposed to oils, we're like, oh my gosh, I need something to help me. So we're sitting at the house this one night, and Cindy goes, we're just kind of dumbfounded. It's with our kids, and I was like, I don't know what else to do. And we specialized in pediatrics. This was our specialty, and our own kids, we couldn't help them with this thing. And she goes, well, why don't you run up to the office, because we still have that premium starter kit of the oils at the office. I was like, what kit of oils? Had no idea. It had been so long since we had talked to that girl, and so long since we'd had follow-up, and so long since we'd just been using the Thieves Household Cleaner, I forgot that the company was called Young Living, and I thought it was Thieves Company. Just call Thieves, get us some more of that soap stuff. It's awesome. She would always get mad. It's not Thieves, it's Young Living. I'm like, whatever. I don't care. Just get the soap for the bathroom. We're out. So I go, really? I'm like, where's that? She's like, it's in the back of the kitchen in the whatever cabinet. I was like, okay, great. So I went up to the office. We lived a couple miles away at that point. Walk into the back kitchen, sure enough, go into the cabinet, pull open this box, still has a cellophane on it, like we'd never even tore the plastic off. 6.5 years later, and I'm like, true story. Busted it open, and then it changed their lives forever. That night, literally. Like the kids were over their thing in a day and a half, and I went, what the what? Because I'm huge on research, and I'm huge on how things work. And so when that worked faster than anything else I'd been using for 16 weeks straight, and something that I specialized in, like it wasn't something I didn't know about. This is like my wheelhouse. 18 hours, putting this frou-frou plant juice flowery junk in a little like humidifier is what I called it at the time, because I hadn't researched it yet. I'm like, well, just put the humidifier on, whatever. And our kids were like, poof! And I was like, what the crud was that? So at that point, we never brought anything into the office that we didn't use on ourselves. That was something that was huge. So if we were going to recommend a detox, we did it on ourselves to make sure that it was awesome. If we were going to use any product, we used it on ourselves for a while to make sure that we really backed it and liked it. So I took the product in and made a bunch of samples of different oils, grabbed an EODR, started studying like what different systems they went for, and then I started handing out samples to a set amount of patients to see what they were doing. The ones I knew what I was doing on them already. Like they were coming in for specific things and I was helping them with. So I started incorporating the oils. And they got so many results and they got better so much faster and needed so many less products to support those systems that I was like, dude, I'm like, we've got to incorporate these with every protocol. So back in 2013, every single nutritional protocol that I have done from then on incorporates essential oils for every single thing that we're working on. And we saw incredible results. Well, right after that, Cindy got an accidental check. Because, small story on this. Young Living's the 13th network marketing company that I've worked. Network marketing is amazing. What are you laughing at, Drew? Gosh. Drew's like, it's true though. 13th. I was successful at 2 or 3 of them. Loved it. But just like 4-year career, there was always 1 or 2 things missing. Either the company was unintegral, and so after I was in for a little bit of time, you figured out that there were shysters, and so we would pull out. 2, the product wasn't what they said it was, so you started off, and all of a sudden, a lot of you guys have gone down this route, and you're like, oh, they said it was this, and actually it's not. Or they were selling a health drink with tire care products. And that always confused me. There were those companies that didn't make sense. Or even if they had a product that was decent, the compensation plan was awful and it wasn't anything that you could really make a living on. And then came along Young Living. And so I put, Cindy, my wife, hated network marketing. Like, I was the guy that loved it. I love people. I love connecting. It's like a perfect spot for me. Let's go talk to people and tell them about product. And then they like send you like commission checks for this. I'm like, awesome. Let's go have parties. Yes! Let's do that. That's awesome. Let's go to Florida and hang out with hundreds of people and talk about awesome products. And all get paid. Yes! Yes, that's awesome. Near the beach. And we'll all go pick up shark teeth tomorrow on the island. Yes! See, it's freaking awesome. Cindy hated it. She thought it was like the biggest scam. She was like most of the guys in the room that started off. They're like, this is ridiculous. There's no way you get paid for that. I'm like, I'm not going to take all my time, but I can go on for about that. So I put her name on this one. And we made a random order. In 6.5 years, we had never done essential rewards. We always did quick order, buying bulk, paying way too much money on a massive amount of shipping because we bought heavy crap. And so she orders the shipment. One of the girls that forced her way underneath Cindy, like, no, I know that you get credit for this. I'm going to sign up under you, even though Cindy was like, no, don't do it. Which is awesome. We still laugh at that. She goes, remember when you told me? We're like, just shut up. It's fine. We get it. Like, yeah, we get it.
But you're right all the time.
What? I'm not even going to go there. I had all this stuff. I'm just going to wait. It's true. Okay, so there was one time I was wrong. Okay, one time. There you go. She got it. Cheese. So she got an accidental paycheck. And it was like $120. It wasn't like, it was a lot for like there's a little check, but it wasn't like, 5 figures. And she comes to me, and this is October of 2013. I remember it for sure, really distinctly, because she comes into me. We were both working full-time in the office at that time. And she goes, hey, she was pregnant that time with Evans, the baby that we would lose the next year. And she goes, hey, I got a check from this company. I go, yeah, it's a network marketing company. It's called Commission. Yeah, because I know everything. And she goes, really? She goes, well, I want to look at this. I think I could do this. And I'll go, whoa. I'm like, I have brought you 12 other companies. 12. And worked on myself. I go, and she goes, no, I really want to look at this. I go, all right, hold that thought. And she walked back in the room to see patients. I walked in the back, called my mother-in-law, and I said, hey, we only had 2 kids at the time. I said, I'm dropping the kids off in 2 days. I'm taking Cindy to Seaside, Florida, because we've got to go look something up and check something out. And so I need you to keep the kids for 3 days. She was like, okay. I booked flights to Seaside, literally, like right then, in the office. I walked back out. Cindy walks out of treating a patient, and she goes, what's up? I go, we're flying to Seaside tomorrow. I took a Wi-Fi hotspot, had a condo on the circle overlooking the beach in Seaside, set up her books, her Wi-Fi, her computer, put some water in there, and I left her. This is the truth. She's a researcher. She's a green red. She didn't need any distractions. She didn't want anything in the way. She didn't need me being cool and funny and all the things. None of that. She didn't need my input. She's fully functional and way smarter than me, so I walked out, and I went and made friends on the beach. Literally, I went and hung out at the coffee shop. I went and hung out at Avita Coffee right there in the square. I had like 3 best friends by the morning. I was talking to the cabana guys. I helped them set up some chairs, literally. I went and had fun in town. There's a bookstore right there. I'm like a book junkie. I'm a book freak. Went and hung out at the bookstore. Came back at lunch. Got her to take her to eat. Did that for 2 days. At the end of the second day, she walks out. She has all of her stuff spread out. She has her videos, all the books, and she goes, I know how to get to platinum. I go, really? I go, show me. And she was at platinum in 6 months. Without any of my help at all. None. Not even a little bit. And none of it in office. And so one of the things that people always think was like, well, you're in practice and you're a doc, and they see doctors as gold mines. Oh, they see people all the time. Yeah, but that's not exactly how it works. And Cindy built it just like you guys, pounding the pavement, making, doing classes and teaching and connecting with people one-on-one, and connecting with people that she had grown up with and all these things. And the point of that is, no one's ever gone. Your inactive list is a gold mine list. We went inactive twice in the span of that 6.5 years. And you never know who's going to be a diamond underneath you, because you never know when they're going to have a need, right? And so just never give up on your people. All right. So what's all the fuss about? Like, everybody's like, dude, you should use essential oils. A lot of you guys are new in here. Like, how many people have been using essential oils for less than 6 months? That's a lot. How many people have been using essential oils just this year, like in the past 12 months? That's awesome, but that's a lot. One of the things that I see the most about people, the reason they won't use them is, they just don't understand them. That's it. Like, they're like, and the box is pretty. I've heard that a lot. Well, the box is really pretty. I'm like, oh my God, keep the box. Use the oils. I'm like, open the box. Keep the box. If you think it's beautiful, it is. It's awesome. One person that we'd had a member on our team, luckily it was only like a month or two. I'm super sensitive to it since it was 6.5 years for us. I'm like, hey, how are you loving your oils? Blah, blah, blah. I was teaching a class, a one-on-one class. She goes, I don't know. I haven't used any of them yet. I'm like, haven't you had your kit for 2 months? She's like, yeah. Like, why haven't you opened it? She's like, well, the box is just so pretty. And I'm like, they won't work in the box. But it's getting people to understand the therapeutic value and how they actually work in the body, and that these aren't just smells. Like, and if they want to think of them that way, I go, yeah. I said, we were at a fair the other day working at a vendor booth, and these people came by and they go, oh yeah, that's all right, but I've got other scents up at the house. I love the smell though. I go, yeah, well, these are different. They're smells with purpose. And they go, what do you mean? I'm like, well, these are smells that actually help your body do what it's supposed to do. And then the guy turned around. He's like, how does that work? And I was able to kind of explain it to him. But people understand Scentsy candles. They understand Glade plugins. They understand smells. They understand Bath & Body Works and all of the essential oils and junk that's put in there. They do not understand the difference in quality, and they do not understand how they work at all. I guarantee you. Most of you guys in here couldn't tell me how they worked, even though you've been using them for a year to 2 to 3 to 5 years. Most of you guys couldn't explain exactly how they work. So I'm going to break it down for you, and I'm going to go through my top 7 reasons why everyone should be using essential oils, whether they're an hour old or 101 years old. It doesn't matter, and why they're so effective. And so we're going to go through my top 7 for this. And I want you guys to understand it, because understanding why they work and how they work, then you can explain it when people ask you. Because one of the things is you start sharing and you start telling people about this, which if you're going to share with this about to people because it's amazing, no different than you would your favorite restaurant or anything else. But when you start sharing, people don't care. You've heard this before. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Then they really care how much you know. So people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. But if you stop it right there, those are the zeros. They're like, oh, they cared about me. This is really awesome. I totally want the kit. It's here. Never buy anything else. Because they need the information past that. They need education to get them to buy another product, to get them to use a different product, to get them to drain that bottle of peppermint and buy another one. If they don't understand why, if they think it's just a set, if they think it's just a really expensive candle set, they won't keep ordering. They won't go to the next step. They won't get to what we call next level products. And that's what really starts to change their life. Because like Sarah said, my biggest passion is in getting people that Thieves household cleaner in their house. If they will do that, I'm going to talk about hormones tomorrow, and we're going to talk about that and some health. If they will get the Thieves household cleaner, it would change the hormonal path for their kids for generations. Because the things that they're allowing their kids to be around or in or wear is wrecking their hormones. And they don't even know it. Because it's FDA cleared. It's safe, right? And so they're using it all the time. So that's huge. And so understanding it is key, and knowledge is power, so that you can give them more information. Because once you really see them and once you really hear them, you can really speak into where they're at. Fair? Make sense? Okay. All right, so my number one reason why I love essential oils is because they bypass digestion. Now, what are we talking about on this? If you're going to take supplements and you're going to take things to help the body function the way that it should, like fish oil or vitamin D or probiotics, all those things, and you're taking supplements, you have to ingest it. It's got to go through the digestive tract, right? Well, Sarah talked a little bit about gut function and talked about doing the GAPS diet, which we've utilized and recommended for patients forever, and it's amazing and amazingly hard. But the key to the whole thing is if your gut is messed up, you're not getting the nutrition that you should out of your food or supplements or anything else, period. So the majority of the people in the room, roughly about 85 to 90% of the people in the room, have low functioning gut and at best, or leaky gut and really bad irritation and inflammation at worst, okay? And that's just the statistics, right? Now, even if you're the best functioning person in here, but you haven't sealed the gut, you haven't done all this program and stuff, and let's say that your gut is just underproducing, then what that means is when you go take this fish oil that you've spent a lot of money on, and you're like, dude, I know that the fats are good, and it's good for my brain, and it's good for all the stuff, and my hair and my nails are going to be like, you may absorb 15% of that product, maybe, if it's a good product, and if your gut's actually doing the best in the room. So you figure, let's just use round numbers on that. If you're taking 100 grams, or let's say 100 milligrams, but in fish oil it's normally grams. Let's say it's 100 milligrams of a specific supplement, you might absorb 15 of it. So it's no wonder why people only use products for a certain period of time and they stop, because they're like, well, I didn't really get any results on it. Of course not. You only took 100 milligrams of it. You only absorbed 15 of it. You've had this condition for 16, 17 years, and you took it for 3 days. And you couldn't figure out why it didn't change your life in an instant. Because we're completely trained and we've been completely indoctrinated into this medication fast food society and culture of it's got to happen right now. If it's going to work, it's going to work right now. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the next 15 minutes. And that is not true all the time. It's not true most of the time when we're talking about holistic function and the way the body works. Okay? Now, that is what happens every time with medication, which is why it's very confusing. And so people will take a blood pressure medication or they'll take a cholesterol medication, and it will instantly change the body. Why? Yeah, it's an artificial fix to a natural problem. It's literally like someone getting in the car with you and you're driving, taking a medication, is them reaching over and stomping on the gas pedal for you, and you don't have any control over it, and grabbing the wheel and turning you to the right, and you just have to sit there. That's what medication does. Now, is it necessary a lot of times? Mo deadly, yes. There's certain times where it's absolutely important. You know, like when you're laying in surgery and they have your leg wide open after you shatter your femur. It's important. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yes, use the medication because you're about to cut my leg open. You know what I mean? Is it necessary all the time and does it help with function? No. Never. Medication never helps with function because it's artificial, right? The only things that are going to help your body with function are things that are natural, that have an actual living frequency to them, that the body recognizes as food, right? So when you're using oils topically or you're using them in the diffuser, the great thing is you're getting exposure to the frequency and to the different constituents in that oil, the things that are in it, without having to rely on your digestive system to break it down. So when I rub that oil on my skin, right, like when I put sacred sandalwood on right before I walked up here, and I rub that oil on my skin, it can get through the actual fatty layer of my skin. And because the particles are so tiny, not because they're magic, this is another thing people don't understand. They're like, whoa, I rubbed it on my body and it went all the way to my toes. And people are like, peace out, I'm out. I'm going to go take my Tylenol now because you're weird. Right? Like, how much faster would Sarah have gotten results and changes if the people around her weren't weird using it? Thankfully, one of the weird people was incessant and she trusted them and liked them. But, I mean, it's really a thing of, like, paying attention to how we present ourselves, paying attention to how people see us online, paying attention to how you present and do things in public because let's say that they had missed it on Sarah Harnish. What if the people around her would have been frustrated and insulted by her and wouldn't have kept after her and would have weirded her out and would have kept weirding her out? What would have happened? None of this. None of those books back there. None of the thousands and thousands and thousands of people and families whose lives have radically been changed because of getting the oils into their body and having an extra $200, $500, $5,000 a month into their life. You understand what I'm saying? And so every single day, I mean, our choices really matter and it's really key. But you come in and you're like, man, look, and you don't understand? Yeah, how does that work? Well, it just does. You know, you rub it on and in 20 minutes, it's in every cell of my body. You know, you do that, they're going to run. Does that make sense? So you have to understand the reason that it can get into your bloodstream and the reason it gets in there so quickly is because the particles are microscopic. Like they're really tiny. So they can get through the layers, whereas other products like coconut oil, the particles are really big. They're larger, and so they can't get all the way into the bloodstream the same thing, and so that's why it gets in so easily, right? So when you're using things topically and aromatically, you get just as much therapeutic benefit, if not more, as taking them internally, okay? So another thing I see with people a lot, I think, is they say, hey, I'm using it in a diffuser, but I know that's just for smell. Like, it doesn't really change function of the body. It doesn't do a lot. I'm like,
oh, yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Like, you're actually getting way more exposure to the oil in a diffuser because it's running for 4 to 6 hours than you rubbing it on your body. But, again, because we're taught to, like, feel it, like, we want to be like, oh, I'm rubbing it on this area of my body that needed it. It's almost as if, like, we don't get that same experience. And so they go, oh, well, it's probably not doing anything. And so then you just start asking them more questions like, really? So how's this doing? And how's this doing? They're like, well, way better. Right. Because they're smells with purpose. Like they actually have function beyond just making your room smell like lemon. Frequencies. So the second reason why everybody should use oils is because the frequencies in the oils are so amazing. Now here's how this works. This is the other thing that's going to make people run away from you if you don't understand it. They're like, well, how do the oils work? Well, you know, there's like this harmonic frequency from like the core of the earth, and it's like, whoosh. Right? And almost every single scientific person, they're like, and they'll run away from you. Or every single husband of the girl that's like, oh, wow, that's so amazing. They're like, no, we're out of here. They're freaks. And they'll drag them because you started talking frequencies without understanding what it is. Frequency talks about the fact that anything that is alive, any plant out there, the water that you're drinking, anything that is actually alive has an actual vibrational frequency to it. It literally oscillates, okay? So if they go down to the cellular level on any, like you can take any plant out there, your essential oils, if they're high enough quality, like in living, high quality herbs, like things that are actually alive have a frequency, they oscillate. Well, you know what? So do the cells in the body. The cells in your body have a different frequency depending on what type of tissue it is, depending on what organ it is, depending on whether it is doing its job well or not. Better functioning an organ is, the higher the frequency. The lower function the organ is, the lower the frequency, depending on that tissue. Okay? So all day long, really, one of the things that you're doing is you're doing things to elevate the frequency and the function and that oscillation in your body with anything you're doing. Like when you're around people that are encouraging and they tell you you're awesome, it elevates your frequency. When you pray over somebody, when you touch them with intention, it elevates their frequency. When you drink water and you drink things that are good for the body and you drink makes you red, it elevates your frequency. When you breathe in things that are really healthy for you and you go outside and you breathe like the actual ocean air and you're not sitting in the middle of a city with tons of toxicity and tons of pollution, it elevates your frequency. And you're trying to do more things in a day that elevate your frequency than things that decrease it. Okay? So negativity decreases your frequency horribly fast, really fast. Whether you're negative or someone around you is, right? That's why like white angelica is so amazing. We'll talk about emotions tomorrow. So negativity will lower your frequency like crazy. Sugar tanks your frequency right through the floor. Coffee, I know. Everybody take a moment. Everybody's got their thing. And I'm not even going to lie, I'm going to be totally transparent. Mine's coffee in the morning. Chameleon cold brew in the morning. Just as much of the vanilla, rest with water. I don't care about all the frou-frou. I just want the coffee. You know what I mean? Lowers your frequency, though. And so one of the things is like going, okay, what, like literally like taking, being aware is a better way to say it. Being aware of just the different things in your life and whether or not it's either adding life or not, right? Like we can go back to scripture. Like everything is either like you're either speaking life over yourself or you're not. You're either bringing life to your body or you're not. There's no halfway. Like, well, that Snicker bar was kind of healthy because the peanuts. Nope. Dude, it was a Twix and it was frozen. The frozen part totally like stops a lot of the toxicity. Nope, I've heard it all. Like legit. They're like, but I froze it. Oh, well, geez, give me one then. Because, you know, like, because let's all be real. Like, part of it is, like, just being honest. Oreos are amazing. Yes or yes? If you don't think so, we can't be friends. Just don't tell me. Okay, come on. Oreos are amazing. But you realize that they are created that way. They are, like, designed in a lab to be amazing, to fire certain centers in your brain, to create addiction in you so that you will buy more of them and you will get sick on them, but you will crave them because of what Sarah said about the serotonin and the neurotransmitters that are made in your gut. Because eating food makes you happy. Eating crappy food makes you feel happy faster. It won't last, and it will mess up the rest of your body, and it will cause symptoms, but you will feel happy faster eating Rolos. Come on, can I get an amen? Rolos. Man, I'm like totally giving everything up. I really don't eat this crap, but I used to, and I loved it. So Rolos are where it's at. So the other day, not to like digress, but my kids were asking me, we were at my parents' house, and my parents are like quasi-healthy. They still do stuff that I tell them to, but then, you know, I'll get in, my dad's eating a Twix. Yeah, like, I'm like, all right. Like, you know, he's like, balance. I'm like, no, but whatever. So we're sitting at the bar in their house, and Harper goes, hey, Dad, what are your favorite candy bars or like candies? And I'm like, okay. And my kids are freaks. I mean, like, because they've been raised in a freaky house. Like, well, our house is normal, but they think we're freaks because our kids drink sauerkraut juice and, you know, eat, you know, drink kombucha. They do all the weird stuff that you're supposed to do, and they don't eat all this junk. So I go, well, I said, are we talking healthy or are we talking any? And he goes, any Harper. And I go, okay, Rolos and Twix, bar none, with an RC Cola. And he goes, what are those? No, I know. I was like, I go, we're done here. We can turn them loose. He had no idea what a Snicker bar was, no idea what a Twix was, no idea what a Rolo was, had no idea what RC Cola was, which I was a little sad about, but proud of. Because it's their new normal, right? Like that's supposed to be normal, but we're used to all this stuff, and it is designed to make you want it more. That's the whole point, okay? Good food will make you happy as well, but it takes longer because your body has to break it down. It has to communicate with the body, and like that broccoli you're eating, it doesn't have all of the toxicity to fire those signals in your brain faster. It has all of the enzymes it was created to have, which your body will totally get used to and love, but it takes longer. And if your body has the choice between broccoli and a Snicker bar, like for sure. Like why not? I mean, like because it tastes way better. Okay, thank you. It tastes way better, right? That dopamine, that serotonin, It's huge. So there's different frequencies in the different oils. The reason, and I'm going to talk about a couple other things as we get to adaptogenic, the reason that people get up here and like Sarah said, well, part of the stuff is all contradictory because so-and-so said that this was to support lungs, so-and-so said it was for liver, the other one said it was for her big toe. I have no idea what to do with this stuff. Is because the frequencies and the way that those harmonics work is it will literally harmonize with your body and help what needs to be helped. And sometimes if my body needs more support for my lungs and I'm using an oil to help with that, and let's say that her body needs more support for her lymphatic system, that same oil may support both areas because of how it's adding in function into the body, even though we didn't necessarily target for that. Does that make sense? And so it just depends on what your body needs, all right? All right, we'll talk about that in a second. All right, let's go through this. Because essential oils are the lifeblood of the plant. I have to go Southern Gospel on this because most of you guys teach this in your classes and you're like, oh, well, we love essential oils because they're the lifeblood of the plant, and everybody in the room goes, and you just roll on. Yeah, lifeblood of the plant, and Gary Young's so awesome, and he jousts at convention, and it's like the stuff, and they're like, okay, so we've got a jousting science guy with bloody plants. And see what I'm saying? Like, do you understand how this looks and how it sounds? And the dude in the back of the red back here is like, I am out, but thank you for the coffee. And I thought it was a health thing, but whatever. And he walked out. You understand what I'm saying? So here's why lifeblood of the plant. Like, this is exactly how this happens. Because after I started teaching this stuff to our team, they are not allowed to use lifeblood of the plant until they understand what it means, and they can tell me about it when they teach. So you go to a class and you're sitting there and the person's up there and they go, yeah, and essential oils, and when they don't understand it, you make it like spiritual. This is what happens. The lifeblood of the plant. And if you ask them what that means, like I'm the guy, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, they're bleeding? Lifeblood? And they're like, well, no, it's like there's some blood, like it's all about the blood, thank you, Jesus. And you're like, and they go kind of crazy about it. You're like, because I don't know you well, and I'm not at your house making sure you're doing it right. And so as far as like, and this is for you guys to remember, as you're telling people like, yeah, oh, you've got this like 8-year-old, yeah, put peppermint in their water. No. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they go, oh, they don't know. People have no idea. You have to assume that they know nothing about function or physiology or oils because they don't, usually. And they're going to go blip, 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 blip. And they're going to put 5 or 6 drops of that peppermint in a bottle of water, and they're not going to add anything to it. They're not going to do anything to help settle it out and diffuse the oil. And they're going to hand it to their kid, and their kid's going to chug, and that oil, which separates, is going to hit them full force in the face, and they're going to get chemical burns on their face. That happens. So you've got to really think through and go, hey, look, let's use diffusing. That's why I love diffusing, especially for kids. Or like what Sarah said, I love going, hey, just rub them on your feet, right? I love just getting them on them. And the whole point is, again, not to get so tied into like, well, exactly where does it need to go? Does it need to go here or here? Yes, it just needs to go there. Or here or here or here or here. You know, whatever. Throw it all on the floor, stop, drop, and roll. Just get that on you. You know what I'm saying? Spill your oils, roll on them. Slither around the floor, get some oils on you. the amazing thing is they're going to work because of that tiny particles that get into your system and get everywhere in the body, okay? But always teaching your people to start slow. Start with an area that's further away from their face. Like you guys are going to learn about pets in a second, and it's exactly what I teach on that. You don't want to spray a pet in the face with oil, so why would you do that to your 2-day-old or your 2-month-old or your 12-year-old? Like, just using common sense and using them correctly and starting slow and working the way up. But having the diffuser, being able to use them topically. Remember, like Sarah said, and she mentioned briefly about the French model of aromatherapy, most people are using oils that are horrible quality, that don't have the purity, and so they can't use them all 3 ways. And they shouldn't. If they're like, oh, you should never use oils all 3 ways, I go, great, well, where do you get your oils? And if they say anything other than Young Living, I go, you're right, you shouldn't. That's all I'll say. And they go, yeah. Like, I'm not here to prove them wrong, but they're using crappy oils. No matter where they get it. If it's not from Young Living, we have the largest library to be able to justify, make sure that we know that our oils are the highest quality. Okay? And so if they say anything else, I'm like, yeah, you're right. You should probably never put them on your body, and by gosh, please don't put it in anything that you eat. I'm totally with you. But we don't use those oils. We use these. Okay? Number 5, they're fat soluble. So when you rub them on the skin, because of the fat solubility, this is what the layer in your skin looks like. The oils can get through that lipid bilayer. They go shik, 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 pulls it in. And then because the particles are so small, it can get into your blood vessels. Super effective. That's why when you rub an oil on your skin, it doesn't stay there like coconut oil. You know what I mean? Like you rub an essential oil on and you're like, oh, look, it's gone. Like instantly, right? Depending on the type of the oil, it may last longer. You rub coconut oil on your skin, you're kind of a grease monkey for a little bit. Unless you're like really need the fats. Number 6, they're adaptogenic. That means that because they are a living plant, I always describe them, they're like concentrated herbs. Because they are a living plant, they are adapting, and there's 2 different things about this that I'll briefly tell you. When somebody says, what do I do about this, or what do I do about that? What do I do about this function that's too much function in this part of the body, or what do I do about this that's too little function in that part of the body? And I'll tell them the same thing, and they always go, well, that doesn't make sense. Why could it work for both? I'm like, because I'm not curing any of that stuff. This oil helps that organ and supports that organ, and it doesn't matter whether the organ is low or high and that part of the body is doing too little or too much. It's adaptogenic and helps to bring it back in the middle into harmony. We're like, oh. So this thing of getting in your head of like, hey, I'm driving up function. No, you're not. Or, hey, I'm bringing down function with it. No, you're not. You're not doing any of that stuff. You're literally supporting the thyroid gland. You're literally supporting the liver. You're not doing anything with that oil. That organ then knows, okay, hey, we're getting too much function over here, and because it's working better, it automatically is like, oh, awesome, I can bring this down. I don't need to overfunction anymore because I have more to work with. Does that make sense? So the adaptogenic side is that. The adaptogenic is also the point of which, like when we were talking about, what's your name? Diana. So with Diana, when I talked about, she may use it and it help her with lymphatics, and I may use it to help me with lungs. Perfect example is lavender. She may use lavender to help relax her and calm her down. Lavender amps me up. It gives me more energy. And that may be exactly what my body needs. I don't use lavender and go to bed. I won't go to sleep. I can't do that. It keeps me awake because lavender calms down and helps with my stress levels so that the rest of my body's like, woohoo! You see what I'm saying? But for her, she may use it to calm her down and to help with her system and help it relax. So just remember, that's why it's like you can't go, well, JD, this oil is always for that. And then it doesn't do that for them. Because every person's body is different. Everybody's body is completely different. Last one, they cross the blood-brain barrier. The only 2 things they can get across the blood-brain barrier are essential oils because they're so tiny and they're amazing, and heavy metals because they're so huge and so awful. So like lead, mercury, those things can cross through if you're getting those in different things that you're taking. Not because they are microscopic, because they're like the giant sumo wrestler just barreling through the walls to get in. Essential oils are like super ninjas, right? Like they slip in the side of the actual vessel lining and they can get in to help with function and support the brain, support neurology. Okay, we talked about those things. Why Young Living? There's only one reason. Not because we have cool, convention colors. Not because we brought Carrie Underwood last year. None of those things. Not because it's your friend. Not because they brought it to you. The only reason why you should be using the products is the seed to sow process and quality. That's it. Because when you take lavender and you put it on your skin and on your child's skin, it's 100% lavender. It's not partially lavender, partially something else, and you can be sure that it is because of the strenuous quality control that we go through in the company to ensure that the products that are going on you are exactly what it says on the bottle. And that's 100% why you should be using it. All right. They give you a little bit? Learn a little bit more? Good. All right, so I think we're going to learn about pets next. I'm going to bring Christy back up here. You guys are awesome. You're all gorgeous. Even the ones I can't see in the back, I'm sure you're gorgeous. And yeah, please come up.